Frank. I'm one of the co-founders of PugliaTechs. And we're so honored to be here at Loom, continuing our monthly events for PugliaTechs Talks. PugliaTechs Talk is a monthly recurring event that aims at creating connections between entrepreneurs, professionals, and students and the academic world to ideally, not too much in the short run, but not even on the too long run, making Puglia a global tech hub. So we're really thankful to Loom for hosting us for our monthly events. And we wanted to start by thanking again Loom by bringing one of our spokesperson, Professor Bussoli, here on the stage. Thanks very much for having us.
Good afternoon. I am Candida Bussoli. As just was said, I am the Dean, the Director of the Department of Management, Finance and Technology, and I am very happy to be here. I'm very happy to welcome you, to extend my warmest greetings and also the ones of the Rector, who is not here with us because of prior institutional commitments. I'm very happy to be here because this is the opportunity to engage with experts in technology, in blockchain, artificial intelligence, and emerging technologies, let's say. And this is very important because, of course, we know that the moment we're living today is the period with the highest rate of innovation in all human history. And this innovation, of course, is driven by the technological revolution. And this technological revolution, as we know, is changing the way we are thinking about problems. And also is changing the way we are thinking about the solution of the problems. So I can say that it is a sort of cultural revolution. A cultural revolution that is marking and will mark the direction of our future lives. So it is very important to be here, and it's very important to stay together to think about this important moment in our history. And of course, the most advanced product of the technological revolution is artificial intelligence. We're going to think about artificial intelligence later, I'm sure, and to talk about artificial intelligence, but how can we define artificial intelligence? It is not so easy to define artificial intelligence. I usually say that artificial intelligence can be considered as a set of technologies able to manifest the ability to learn. So a set of technology that is able to learn. It's a very fast definition, but we can say that this set of technology, when we speak about artificial intelligence in Italian, we say una macchina. So this is the meaning of set of technology for me, una macchina. But this set of technology is able to interpret the reality thanks to the regularity of data, is able to make decisions in conditions of uncertainty, is able to interact with humans. And I would like also to say that this set of technology is able to interpret our emotion, to measure our emotion. So this is really powerful. The technological revolution is absolutely powerful. And if it is managed with attention, let's say, it's a way to drive the growth, the innovation, the growth, but also to reach sustainability, social sustainability, to reach inclusion, economic and financial inclusion. So it's very important. Of course, technology is also determine challenges related to security, related to ethics, related to sustainability once again, and also employment, in example. So it's very important to manage all those things, what is happening today in our lives, and it's very important to be here. This event is the way to talk about, to share our experiences, to share our ideas, our best practices, and also our strategies to manage this changing world. And this is very important because I'm sure firms need, of course, technological tools, but of course, firms need a new culture for innovation, a new culture of innovation. And thanks to this new culture, firms will be able to improve their creativity, their competitiveness, of course, but also the way they can grasp the opportunities of this period that I usually say it's a liminal period in our history, in our lives. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm sure this event will be very productive. I wish an event productive, effective, and inspiring. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for that. We really see the academic world, and especially Loom, being very close between the academic and the business world, and that's what we really do on a daily basis on our mission. So really appreciate you welcoming our mission today. So continuing a little bit of our story before we actually dive into the key topics of today, XR and blockchain, I wanted to start with welcoming Leon Kaldenbach, one of our community builders, who'll be presenting PugliaTechs from the start to where we are today and where we aim at being in the next coming days. So thanks for being with us.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see that at the last moment some more faces are in the room. So thank you for coming. Thank you also the guys who are following us online. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. You said a lot of really good things about, the connection, to be innovative, how we have to do this together with the ethics and all the challenges that are coming ahead. So thank you again for having us here. I will do a quick introduction for PugliaTechs. Who's been with us already before? I see some familiar faces. Thank you for coming back. So for the other people who it's the first time, I will talk you through it quickly. First of all, why did we start PugliaTechs? I saw it on LinkedIn. Someone posted it this morning. Actually, it was on the front page of the Il Sole 24 Ore di oggi. Still, people are escaping or going away from Italy, leaving Italy because of better opportunities somewhere else. It's okay to leave, but it would be really good if people come back or if they don't leave at all. So we would really like to build this community here because we strongly believe in Puglia as a region, and we'd like to bring together the people that are here or the people that have been abroad and come back. So it's still a topic of today. Who are PugliaTechs? Well, it's a grassroots community, so it basically means we're building up from the bottom up. So we started initiative, basically passionate tech enthusiasts. That's how it usually starts. But there's also entrepreneurs and corporations already in it, and some startup founders. So basically we're bringing already together the people who want the technology to thrive, the people that have already done the business part, and the people that are startup founders. And it's from Puglia and beyond. We all have Puglia in our hearts, but many of us have already been abroad. Why did we start PugliaTechs? Well, we have a mission. Our mission is basically to foster this growth. So we want to share, we want to network, we want to share knowledge, and we do events like this. We do digital events, we do one-to-ones. So basically bringing people together to face those challenges you just mentioned. And we really believe in this renaissance, or just the way to go forward and to drive this regional innovation, but with an international outlook. How we do it? We have basically two pillars in PugliaTechs. We have a global perspective, as mentioned before, but Puglia Roots, which means that we want to put Puglia on a global map, but we also want to create or help create startups that are competitive but still connected to Puglia. So that is basically how we do it. And the other one is how to empower local talent, people like you, people like alum students and other students, or just alumni, or just graduated people, really empower their talents, because we believe that there is some unique creativity, as you also mentioned, and resilience here. And we believe that we can combine that with the technical expertise in the community and really, really build something here. We've been busy about 6 months, and you can see from some other newspaper and pictures that we're really growing in numbers and enthusiasm. And that's also thanks to our location partners so far. LUM will be on the next slide, obviously, in the next presentation. It's really good to be so welcomed by these institutions in the region. But obviously, we've also grown in online presence. We have a new website that we launched last month. So please go and visit PugliaTechs.com. And we're growing on Instagram, on LinkedIn as well as Telegram. So if you don't follow us yet, please go to LinkedIn and follow us, or join us in our Telegram channels. But that's not the only part. Obviously, we also want to include the corporates. We want to make sure that we have a strong network with the corporations. So we create brand awareness. We facilitate recruitment between the corporates and community members. So from both sides, we enable the access to technologies, and we, of course, want to boost lead generation and share the product and engineering best practices. And there we're pretty ambitious, because we really aim to secure 15 slots in the first batch, so basically tech firms in the first year. We're working on it. But most of all, obviously, we are here to help the young people in the region. So for those who have not joined our community, please scan the QR code. It will bring you to a forms where we just ask for a little bit of your information. And it's not because we want to gather data. That's definitely not our aim. But it's really important to understand who you are, what you are looking for, so we can tailor the contents of our speakers, the contents of our events, and bring in the right people together for matchmaking and so on. So please do share with us why you want to join and what you're looking for, because it makes it easier for us to create a stronger community. This QR code will also be shown at the end again for those who haven't made it in time. Because, as we said, we bring people together. We have a slogan for now, it's connected, diverse and stronger. We see a lot of diverse people, diverse companies already interested. And as we know, we need each other, and we exchange things. One has a demand, other one has something to offer, and that is how the network is being built. So yeah, that is basically in a nutshell what PugliaTechs is. And for the techies underneath under us, you can see it as like an operation system. It's a federated approach. We build communities. We enable the startups and the neighbors and the corporates. We include the institutions for their knowledge, their strong vision and their roots. And of course, we're also always looking for investors, because in the end, we need also the resources to make sure that we can actually create these innovations. And it's important to have Puglia in the heart. So that was in a nutshell what PugliaTechs is. And I think now is the time for the most interesting part, which are the speakers. But without the speakers, these events can't happen. Thank you for your attention.
So one of our goals when we have monthly events is to really, what is tech? So define tech for us, it's a broad sense. So we always mix one talk focused on the business side and one talk focused on the tech side. And sometimes those two talks are hard to define as we try to connect business and tech for all the events. So today's keywords, as we mentioned, are related to XR and blockchain. So we're going to start with Nico Cinefra, XR expert, who'll be introducing us to where XR is today in AI landscape. So welcome and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for the presentation. So glad to be here. So glad to be speaking in my home country, in my home region. Love for this. So so the goal for today's session is to really provide you a quick overview of what XR is doing, what it can provide to companies, users trying to adopt this technology, but also how that connects with other tools like AI that is, of course, growing and rising in popularity in these days. So before we get there, I would like to start with a quick overview about what XR means, right? XR is an umbrella term that refers to a number of technologies ranging from VR, AR, and MR. So you probably have heard of these technologies in the past, right? But I'm trying to zoom in a bit more into what these do, right? So VR is an acronym for virtual reality, right? It really means you are fully immersed in a virtual world, right? You cannot see the world around you when you are in a VR experience. And you're basically fully into that scene, that 3D scene that has been built for a specific purpose. Then next to it, we have augmented reality, AR. In many cases, AR means just heads-up displays, so you don't, you just have quick information about the surroundings. You are in the ability to see some initial informations about maybe some sensors that are sitting next to you, and that's what augmented reality. Most of the interactions are done usually by voice, right? So it's not where you actually use controllers or use your hands to interact with the scene. And on the other side, mixed reality is really where we can start having complex 3D overlays. So that means you can see the world around you, similar as you can see here on the screen, but you also have 3D objects placed in that scene. And you can operate on those, you can manipulate those by using your hands, using your controllers, using your voice, and so on. So these are typically the three types of technologies that we see when we talk about XR. But it's not just the technology itself, it's also the form factor. If you think about how this industry has been growing over time, we see a strong shift from what, let's say, used to be called and are still, let's say, called headsets to the glasses form factor, right? Headsets are dedicated, specialized devices. You probably have seen Oculus devices in the past. I have some photos in the next slides. It's basically a very specialized device where you are probably interacting by using controllers. You're fully immersed. You're wearing, let's say, this headset for some time to play a game or to go through a specific experience. On the other end, we have the glasses, right? So the glasses form factor, of course, provide a lot of advantages because it's a see-through technology, so you can see the world around you. You're not immersed in an headset. And very important, it's socially accepted, right? That's actually a super important element to consider when we think about XR, right? The ability to use those technologies while you're in, let's say, your family, with your group of family, with your friends, without having to worry about, let's say, what people think when you are actually using those. But of course, if you think about it, try to combine a lot of this technology or squeeze a lot of this technology into an hardware with that form factor is actually a challenge. How can you bring the computing power that you have in one of the other at the technology, like form factors and so on, into a pair of glasses? And this is one of the most important challenges of our time, and we will see some videos. So now some companies are actually trying to face it. So if we put on the X and Y axis the technology and the form factor, this is pretty much the current state of XR. And we will see how this evolved over time. So intersection between virtual reality and headsets is where everything started, right? So we're talking around 2012, right? Around 2012, there was a company that was funded. It was called Oculus. Palmer Luckey was the founder. And that company was creating those headsets that you see there, top left, right? It was the Oculus family of devices. That family of devices then evolved and got acquired by Facebook at the time in 2014. But also there were a number of other devices that were born around that time. You can see here a photo of PlayStation VR. So people were using VR for gaming. So if you think about the use cases, right? The main use cases at the time, and they are still used for this purpose, is gaming for the B2C. So that's a photo of a very popular game, if you are familiar with Oculus and Meta technologies, which is called Beat Saber. Basically, the goal of the game, you have cubes coming your way, and then you have to cut them through by using virtual swords. That's pretty much what that game does. It's very popular, very simple, but very popular. But also on the B2B side, training is the key use case. So people, especially if you think about jobs where people are in operating dangerous locations, or they have to complete tasks that are different to replicate in the real world. So imagine that you're working on a production line and you need to assemble a specific object, right? It's very hard to stop a production line to let people be trained on the job. You can simulate those environments by using a VR solution. Then, of course, let's have a look at where we are today. So VR headsets is where we started. MR headsets and AR glasses is where we are today. So I would start by zooming in into MR headsets. So you see three very popular headsets. Many of you probably have seen those both, let's say, in the news, but also on the website. The first one at the top is actually a device that was launched in 2016. It's called the HoloLens by Microsoft. It's actually the first see-through mixed reality device. People could wear it and then scan the world around them and see 3D objects in the physical space they were in. Then with time, of course, Meta, Apple also joined the crew, and you have, let's say, devices such as Quest 3 or Apple Vision Pro that are also available on the market today. So if you think about the use cases, right, the big difference compared to VR is that with VR you were fully immersed, right? You couldn't see the world around you. If we go, let's say, back by one slide, right, there was no way to see the world outside of what was happening in the headset. With these new headsets, now you can actually see the world around you, and you can also see 3D objects that are actually placed in the space you are in. So from a use case perspective, from a B2C point of view, then we've seen the rise of spatial aware gaming and entertainment. So there are very popular games available on those platforms today where, for example, you can create a town living on one of the walls of your house, right? You can see actually, you can combine those modules and create entire sceneries that basically adapt to the space you're in. And that's a different way to play these games, right? It's when 3D starts to mix with the physical world, right? And this is it's actually what mixed reality would like to achieve. But on the B2B side, this is quite important, and this is a use case that is very dear to me because I worked on it. It's also from a 3D design showcasing, we're starting to see ways in which people can actually start bringing 3D objects for presenting new products. So the screenshot that you see here is a screenshot from a project that was recently launched with Cupra across Europe. It's a public case, where Cupra started to put MR headsets in their dealerships, where instead of having the physical car, they only had, let's say, 1 or 2 headsets, and just by wearing the headsets, people were able to see the real car in front of them and interact with it. change the colors, change the optionals, change all the available, let's say, features, and actually interact with the real object. So if you think about the challenges that it is solving, right, you don't need to have a big inventory in a physical location, right? You can just have a couple of headsets. Imagine you're a furniture store. You can just have, you don't need to have all the possible variations of a couch, right? You can just have one 3D model and then change the material, change the color, change the position. People can walk around it, and you can even think about multiplayer experiences. Then the other technology we have today is AR glasses. Actually, the starting date of this technology is around 2014. You probably remember what we have, the technology that is here on the first picture, which were actually our Google glasses, right? These were released in 2014. They were providing they had a very small projector available on a small screen they had on the top left side of the glasses. But of course, this technology evolved over time, and now we have players like Magic Leap here, or Xreal that are available for both B2B and B2C scenarios. The use cases are different here. So think about a portable entertainment where you can cast your screen to a lightweight headset. So you can play a game connected to your mobile phone and then have a full screen in front of you and just play by using your mobile phone. And it's basically, it's a portable cinema, right? On the B2B side, remote support. So think about there are people working in production line, people working in the stores, something gets wrong, and then they can call someone in the headquarters asking for, hey, something is not working, can you help me fix it? And that person can either annotate in real time, so that means they could actually put in arrows in the 3D scene saying, hey, actually, this part of the machine is not working, you should fix this one, right? And people who are actually wearing the headset can quickly identify where things are actually not right. But let's focus on where we're going, right? When we look at where we're going towards a world where we are at the intersection between MR, mixed reality, so where you actually can see the world around you. There are 3D objects in the scene. You can operate on them, right? It doesn't just give you information, right? You can interact with the 3D objects, and you're wearing a form factor that is closer to glasses, right? That's the future. And how we're gonna get there? We're gonna get there in different ways. There is a video that I included in the next slide from that talks about a project that Meta is working on. It's called Project Orion, and you will know more about it in a second. But of course, we have Snap working on it with their Spectacles 5, the technology you see here. And from a use case perspective, of course, you are trying to put the computing power that you have today on big headsets into glasses. So the technological challenges that are associated with developing a project of this type are of a different order of magnitude, right? But from a use case perspective, lifestyle, social gaming, the ability to be in a room with someone else and play 3D games in a way that is not possible today, it's definitely the #1 use case. But also productivity, the ability now to have a computer on your face that is easy to wear. It's actually, let's say, a good advantage because it could allow people to move from traditional ways of working to new and innovative ways of working. I'm gonna play a video right now. This video is about, let's say, the Project Orion, which is the project that I mentioned earlier that Meta is working on. It's a 2-minute video.
Phones are not going to be the end of the line. We're not going to be here in the 2030s communicating and using computing devices that are exactly the same as what we have today. And someone has to build that and believe in it.
Meta invented a damn time machine. Hi, Nora. Daddy's calling from the future. I'm wearing these amazing AR glasses that you'll probably use when you grow up.
Over the next 10 years, The form factor is just going to keep on getting smaller and smaller, and eventually we're going to have what looks like normal-looking glasses.
You're looking at the culmination of decades of breakthrough inventions in nearly every field of computing. It's one of the hardest challenges the tech industry's ever attempted. See, Orion is a time machine. It'll let Meta live in the future as they build the next generation of AR experiences. Now let me nerd out for a second, because this is a technological marvel. The display isn't made of glass. It's made of silicon carbide, which delivers an unprecedented 70-degree field of view. That means Meta engineers figured out how to bend light beams in ways it does not like to bend. The frames are made of magnesium, just like an F1 car, because it's light and radiates away heat. I mean, you can't just put a fan in glasses. Orion cools itself by glowing. It uses the same materials NASA uses to cool satellites in space. You have to be absurdly determined to build something like this. But competitiveness runs deep around here. Mark wouldn't even let me beat him at Pong.
But then, of course, the full vision is you just have like a full field of view, holograms, where, you know, we're having this conversation in the future, and like I'm sitting on your couch next to you as a hologram, and we're just there, and we have this full sense of presence. Here we are.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention, large holographic displays. The real world is our canvas. Our experiences shouldn't be limited to glowing rectangles. One day soon, we'll once again look up, connected, empowered, and present.
Just to tell you more about the technology challenges that are linked with developing a project of that type, right? Bending lights in way that has not been invented, using technology that is being, and materials that are being adopted in F1, NASA, space explorations, right? Those are all challenges that are very hard to solve for us to get there, right? But I want to also focus on the key theme of this session, which is, okay, perfect. Now I know where XR is going, right? XR is going towards MR glasses. But can we talk about the right here, right now? And the right here, right now for us is AI, right? We know that it's a technology that is growing, it is exploding, continuous announcements, right? And let's try to link the two technologies a bit more, right? We can see AI as a way to speed up growth for XR, but also we can see XR as a way to speed up growth for AI, and I will expand more on that in a second. But also, we can see AI as an ecosystem accelerator when it comes to XR, right? How can we create more better experiences, XR experiences, at a fraction of the time or at a fraction of the cost, right? So I'm going to present, let's say, this slide that talks about the growth in terms of sales over the next 20 years or so, right? If we think about how the two technologies can connect, right? Today, people are starting to be more and more familiar with AI agents and starting to use AI in their lives. Then, of course, consumers are starting to ask, okay, how can I start interacting more with my agents? And actually, XR provides them a natural way to interact with their agents. It's hands-free. You just wear your headset. You interact with them. You speak to them. And that's it. You can have a portable agent that sits with you for all your day. So I'm going to play this quick video that talks about it, right? It's another
I can't wait for my parents to meet you tomorrow.
I can't wait.
Oh, by the way, my dad is a thermodynamicist at NASA. Bye.
Hey, Meta, what the heck is a thermodynamicist?
A thermodynamicist studies energy and heat transfer.
Hey, Meta, explain thermal balance.
It manages heat generation.
So it optimizes fuel efficiency.
Exactly.
Nice to meet you, sir. Can't wait to pick your brain about the transition from liquid fuel to hybrid propellants.
What? I sell insurance. What? I'm kidding. I'll tell you all about it.
That'd be
I'll
nice.
tell you later.
Come on.
So that's an example on how actually you can continuously interact with an AI assistant to ask questions about your daily life and integrate that into, let's say, your day-by-day actions. The other element on how XR and AI can integrate well together is how can XR actually help AI more? So if you think about it, right, having devices that scan the environment and allow to provide that context awareness is something that is quite unique. And actually, XR can provide that. So imagine having cameras that can scan the world around you, and then you can use that data coming from the cameras to actually train or instruct those AI agents, right? and they can allow to anticipate actions, give you better information about where you are, as we can see in the next video.
I can just ask Meta AI by using the prompt.
Hey Meta, look and translate the text on this t-shirt.
The text on the t-shirt appears to be written in Japanese. It roughly translates to Fuji 5 Lakes, or Mount Fuji and 5 lakes surrounding it, referring to a scenic area at the foot of Mount Fuji. The name is often used as a tourist destination for its natural beauty.
Even if I have a quick question about a landmark or want to know more about it, Meta can answer so many questions about popular landmarks. And it even knew what city I was in by just looking at the skyline. Now you can also use the glasses to help location scout, which is arguably one of the most time-consuming aspects of travel photography. You can get real-time information about nearby landmarks and hidden gems, helping you find the most unique and picturesque spots.
Hey Meta, look and tell me the history of this building.
The CN Tower was completed in 1976 and is a concrete communication.
So yeah, as you can imagine, this is a way in which you can start, let's say, actually enhancing the world around you by using AI.
One second. Could you manage to give access to public access from your phone? Because we're using another account. So
okay. If you request
the beauty of when you're live.
Have you requested access?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I will do it. Okay, let's do it live. Let's see if I receive a request.
1 second.
Sorry for that. Okay.
Maybe you have to refresh the page.
Yeah, I did it to the first one. Let me do for the second one. I can. Okay. Okay. Does it work? Let's try. No, only the first one. Yeah, I don't see other requests. No, I don't see other requests. I mean, I can talk through this. Don't worry, maybe. Yeah, if you request access. Okay, maybe right there. Okay, granted.
Anyway, if
not, then yeah, I can provide.
Yeah, you can.
I can provide a slide later. Slides later.
Yeah, we can start with 2. I guess 2 is already a good number.
Okay.
Okay, let's. Please go ahead.
Okay, perfect. I'm trying to. Okay, great. Can we refresh the page once more, maybe? Okay, I think maybe we're there. Okay. Yeah, we still missed 2, but then it's fine. I can comment on those. So yeah, just to wrap the session up, we're almost at time, right? If you think about how we can actually start combining AI and XR, right? Definitely the first one is around immersive agentic product guides. Imagine that you sell a product to your end customers, right? And imagine that in your product you have a quick QR code. Imagine people wearing headsets or wearing glasses. They can look at that QR code and they can start receiving information about that specific product, see that Oreo concept. And that's not fiction. I mean, there are companies that are building those experiences today. The second one is context-aware AI assistance, for example, for field workers or contextual search. Imagine that in this case, there is a person that is suffering an heart attack. There is a CPR procedure to be completed. They have access to that device. The kit contains glasses. They wear the glasses, and the glasses guide them through the experience on how to support. That's actually something that Philips is experimenting with. And then the third one is AI-powered digital twins and data visualization. So imagine that you are next to your car, and then you need to diagnose any ongoing issues. Then, of course, you can connect the glasses to the car, and you can get a diagnosis live. Imagine, let's say, you are technician, and you need to fix that. So to wrap up, right, if you think about the last element that I mentioned is around how we can leverage AI as an accelerator for the ecosystem. So in the old days, people had to develop those experiences by using tools like Unity, Unreal, and it was requiring a lot of time to develop those experiences. It required in-depth 3D artist knowledge in order to get to a very good XR experience. Today, AI is providing access to tools like Asset Gen, Hyperscape, Movie Gen. These are all technologies that Meta has built and allow, for example, from a prompt to create a 3D asset that you can easily drag and drop into a VR experience. You don't need to create a 3D object from scratch. You can start from a prompt and edit it later. Same for Hyperscape. Hyperscape is a technology where just by scanning a room, and it takes around 30 seconds to 1 minute, then it combines images by using Gaussian splatting, and it creates, let's say, a scene that people can visualize by wearing an headset. And the last one is Movie Gen. Again, you prompt, you add the prompt, and then it generates a movie that you can embed and use for your 3D visualizations. With that, I think I've completed my part. Thank you for your attention, and I will pass to the next speakers.
Thanks very much for that. We'll be jumping quickly over to the second talk, but if there's any question from our live stream or from the audience, we'll be happy to pick up a couple of questions. Any questions from live? You have a question?
So in terms of the headsets you're most excited about, I've seen Google is about to release something that hopefully will be a little bit less play and more productivity than Meta, right? It's been going more about like live streaming, but I think the use cases of Google of actually seeing the world around you and scanning and telling you what you're looking at and maybe who's who. But anything else that you're seeing in the market of interesting headsets? And when do you think is going to be the right time to buy?
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, it was a good couple of years ago. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point, right? I would say that it depends. The use case is what drives the adoption, right? So it's very hard to say when it's a good time to buy. Actually, the question I would like to ask is, what's the use case you have in mind, right? Because if you think about AR glasses, they've been around, let's say, for 10 years, right? But nobody's using them in the consumer world. But if you look in the enterprise world, especially manufacturing and production line, there are a lot of companies that use very niche players to do what they're doing. For example, there is a company that is very popular. It's called Vuvix, and that's probably one of the most popular one when it comes to remote assistant, remote maintenance, right? They do that specific job very well, right? So if we're thinking about, let's say, consumers, right? I believe that form factor is what drives decisions. So the technology needs to be light, but also needs to be fashionable in a way, right? If you think about one of the reasons why I believe Meta went with Luxottica is really to make sure that this becomes a technology that is actually accepted by the public, right? If you think about VR, it always had that stigma, oh, I should wear this for, I don't know, 3 hours, 4 hours. It's not socially acceptable. I think the form factor is what drives consumer choices. So again, B2B enterprise, even bulky headsets are actually getting some traction because you use them for a very specific use case. Consumer, I think form factor actually drives. AI can be a way to augment the value of these technologies, right? Because now you have your assistant sitting next to you all the time, and you can ask them questions. So that's the increased value, I believe. But then it's not just on the consumer side. It's also from the business and from the companies that actually want to embrace this technology. Because if tomorrow you enter in a shop, you enter into a shop, and then you look at that specific code or QR code, and that opens up an augmented experience, that would also change the consumer experience. Today, we don't have B2B companies embracing this the way they should from a consumer point of view, right? So it's not just the consumer who drives demand, it's also what will I get if I buy one of those technologies. So I would say probably in the next 3 to 5 years, we will see this technology mature on the consumer side, and probably, yeah, AI is going to be the accelerator.
Thanks very much. One final question, so we can jump to the next talk. Oh, there's actually more. Okay. We'll let the rest of the team see how we're good for more. Perfect. Okay, so next question. Okay, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. My name is Vadim Pankin, and question is, so how do you see there's going to be an evolution of actual applications developed to address some use cases? So for example, with Apple, with Android, it was really cool. So they just opened, you can develop, there is Android market, Apple market, so on. Meta, they wanted to do something like that, but they never implemented it. It was really closed infrastructure, closed environment. So how do you see it's going to go further?
Thank you for the question. If I think from an operating system point of view, I really see 3 main players that are going to define and shape the ecosystem. Of course, we have the 2 usual suspects like Meta and Google, so Vision OS and Android XR. But then if you think about the Meta infra and the Meta OS, it's all based on Android at the end of the day, right? Meta runs on Android for their operating system. It's a custom Android version that they use on their headsets. But the interesting part is that we have more than, speaking of Meta here, there are more than 900 titles available on the Horizon Store today. And then from an SDK access and API access, this will allow easy porting of those solutions from a VR headset to a mixed reality experience. We just recently opened up, as part of the SDKs that we provide access to, that Meta provides access to the camera feed of the mixed reality headsets. So that means starting today, we don't need to wait, let's say, a number of years. Companies, developers can start building spatial aware applications that can actually scan the world around you and then incorporate these elements and augment the experience for the end users. So that's something that is already available today. It's just a way of waiting for the next form factor to come and start applying or using the same SDKs in a mixed reality context. But yeah, that's a very good question.
Thanks very much. I see there was another question. Right, okay.
So, sorry if I don't stand up, but I've written.
Fine.
Okay. Speaking about Meta and data, how can we make sure that the data we provide to the AI agent can only be seen from you and not from a third person or entity without a decentralized network? I mean, without running this service on a decentralized network.
Is the question more on, let's say, limiting permissions on who can access the data, or is it on
confidentiality?
Okay. In the way the tools and the systems that the company provides allow you to say, okay, perfect, I want to restrict this application to only operate in a certain context. I mentioned earlier B2B, B2C, right? So that for us are 2 completely different parts of the company. We know that when we talk about B2B confidentiality, IP information that goes into specialized applications, companies require security certifications, controls, DLP, data loss protection tools that are available when they build for enterprise, right? So from an infrastructure perspective, we have taken a very explicit decision of providing enterprise controls for companies that want to build a private solution, right? And when we say private solution, that solution is only shared with whoever from that company plans to use it, right? So that's on the B2B side. So if you think about, let's say, the virtual showcasing scenario or the training scenario, companies don't want to upload their CAD files to a solution and, let's say, other people to have access to it. So there are ways to segregate that content, and there are logical, let's say, modes to avoid people to cross that bridge. From a consumer perspective, then, of course, when it comes to AI and training that, that's where, of course, there are different approaches that we follow. There are a number of processing elements that we follow when, of course, data is being used for training. It's, of course, anonymized. There are a number of steps to make sure that PII and information that are considered sensitive, of course, are not being used for data training. So, for example, if you think about the AI models that Meta has, you probably heard this name. It's called Llama, right? There is a specific program called Llama Purple. So if you search on Google about it, that is a specific initiative focused on making sure that the way the models are trained, and of course there is a lot of blue and red testing happening all the time, it's done with privacy, confidentiality as a principle. So you can see, if you search for Purple Llama, you will see what are the principles and how we implement those.
Thank you. Thanks very much. We'll be moving to the next talk, and last one. Oh, super quick. Okay.
Okay, go. Thank you very much for taking us through your presentation. It was very informative. I'm Maddie, I work in tech. So I'd like to share a comment with you. It's so cool to see how AI, right, can create all these cool use cases, especially with XRs, as you explained. But something that probably we don't talk about enough, and this is my personal opinion, it's also the amount of energy, right, that it's required by AI to get that going. So from a sustainable perspective, my sort of like comment / question to you to hear your perspective would be, how long do you think realistically would take to companies like Meta, like any others, to make this business actually profitable? Because my impression right now, but maybe I'm wrong, is that this is more of an investment right now. We're in the investing, right, phase, rather than seeing actual profit being made out the investors, right, in this technology. What are your thoughts about it?
That's a good question. I mean, if you think about it, every technology goes through, let's say, an initial investment cycle, and then, of course, it needs to reach, let's say, that plateau when it becomes mainstream, and then we approach mass production. I think when it comes to XR, especially, and this is not just for Meta, like yesterday there was an announcement with OpenAI buying John Ive's company, right, for 6.5 billion, but same for Google XR, right? Of course, we always go through these cycles. Even the AI technology that we have today, like it costs hundreds of millions, if not billions, to train a single model, right? Have we reached that point where this is sustainable? I don't think so. So these are all nascent technologies, right? And of course, it will take some time to go through the cycle and reach, let's say, mass adoption in a way that is effective to produce and offer that service. But if I look back in like 10 years ago, the same was for cloud computing, right? So think about cloud computing. I was at Microsoft at the time, and I was Azure just launched. I was in Redmond at the time, and we were having this conversation with the product managers there. Yeah, like the energy required to support the computing power required by that, it was immense. But then over time, for example, we went through a process where all the data centers became green. All the water, they just use water to refrigerate the environment, right? So, and now we're at that point where, of course, providing a cloud computing service, of course, is environmentally sustainable, also from a scaling factor and from a scaling point of view. So yeah, I think it will require time. Every investment cycle will go through this process, but at some point I'm confident that when we reach mass production, of course, we won't use materials that are needed to send people to space to produce those glasses. We will get to a way in which these are done in a more sustainable way. But I think it's just a natural evolution of the technology at this point. Thank you for the question.
Thanks very much, and thanks for the audience for these insightful questions. So we'll be now moving to the business track of today's PugliaTechs Talk, and we'll be welcoming Francesco Pierangeli, co-director of Masters of Science of FinTech at the University of Birmingham, Deputy Director UK CBT, and adjunct professor here at SLUM. Thanks very much for being with us today, and on our side there will be Marco Abov, one of our co-founders, who will be supporting the conversation with our professor here at LUM. Thanks again for being with us.
Thank you, Francesco.
Thank you.
Francesco and Francesco to be here today. I met Francesco many years ago when we were living together in London. And we were saying,
fun days.
Fun days, yes. And the funny story is that we were discussing about the future, our futures. I was taking much more the business side. You were saying, I'm going to stick to academia. So you're still sticking to it. So it's actually quite interesting to talk today about business and academia at the same time. So I would like to start just, with a quick question regarding, before, delving into the, where's my phone? Here. To the questions, the real questions about blockchain today. If you just can share a little bit your story, how you reach this position of being very into the subject, right? A little bit your background in a nutshell.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, thank you for having me. Let me say two brief things, and then I will address your question. Number one is that I'm very proud of you guys, because you were mentioning putting Puglia on the map. Well, a couple of months ago, I was speaking at the Google office in central London. Last month I was speaking at Harvard in Boston. Today, I'm here with you at LUM. This event was, just set up in literally a week, and here we are for the first time here at an event in my hometown where I was born and raised, speaking in English. So it's already a great achievement, because it's really already putting Puglia, LUM, and PugliaTech on the map. So thank you for that, and thanks for obviously to Candida, to everybody here at LUM that made this event possible. Okay, so then to your question, yes, how I ended up in academia and focusing on blockchain. Well, I will start from the blockchain side of it. So I remember the first time I heard about blockchain was in Hong Kong when I was still a student, and that was over a decade ago. And at that time, Bitcoin was trading at about $100, $120. I didn't buy. I just didn't buy. I know it's very sad. But I mean, back then I was a student. I wasn't really trying to understand the financial system, and I was more like on the traditional and that's why then I picked up a traditional career in banking. And fast forward a couple of years, I'm in banking. I'm working at JP Morgan, and my CEO at the time, still CEO, Jamie Dimon, says the following words, that he would fire any trader who would trade Bitcoin. And that was the day I started to write my PhD proposal. Because I thought, if even Jamie Dimon is scared and afraid of this new technology, maybe there is something very interesting about it. So that is where I then decided to do my PhD. I did a PhD between King's College in London and the National University of Singapore, which allowed me to kind of spend some time in Asia, which where really a lot of exciting things are happening. I certainly advise and suggest you to travel there if you have not visited already, and was fantastic. And I was thinking about my PhD was on blockchain and how to integrate blockchain into socioeconomic processes. And from there on, I fell in love with the topic, and I built an expertise in that, which was very welcome, because at the same time, academia was also changing, and there were a lot of opportunities for young researchers in the space. So that's how I ended up in academia
Here.
working on, working on blockchain. Yes, indeed.
All right. So first real question. Obviously, I mean, I've been in London professionally speaking for a little bit more than a decade, and what I learned from British people is that they're typically pragmatic in their approach. So I'm glad that you can tell more about the UK Centre for Blockchain Technologies, which is, as far as I know, probably one of the most pragmatic intersection between academia, business, and society.
At least we're trying to earn that. So a little bit of, I also ended up leading this UK Centre for Blockchain Technologies. So I'm an academic at the University of Birmingham. I'm based there. Over there, I am the co-director of the Master in FinTech program, and I teach a module on blockchain and financial applications. I've always also been affiliated with the UCL Center for Blockchain Technologies for a long time, which is based at UCL in London. Then we decided to do a scale up of that center to the UK. So we were able to, the UK CBT, the UK Center for Blockchain Technologies, UK CBT, because obviously another thing that you know very well, British people do love our acronyms. So you have to shorten every single thing you can. So UK CBT, UK Center for Blockchain Technologies becomes for short UK CBT. Therefore, so the UK CBT unites three leading universities in the UK, namely Oxford, UCL, and Birmingham together. And the idea is to drive the agenda for blockchain technologies in the country. And our mission is clearly to make the UK a global leader in the space. They do have that ambition as well, and at least despite few ups and downs when it comes to government in the UK as well.
I would say lots of Italians involved in this UK project. So
as well, like successful Italians. Yes, that's true as well. But yes, really, what we are trying to do is to connect together universities with industry partners and the government stakeholders, which is really, really important, creating that relationship. But it's not just connection. So connection is the first step. As you mentioned, we're also trying to be pragmatic. So we really want to actively promote the adoption of good use cases that may benefit business and society. As you can imagine, meme coins are not part of those that we typically trade, despite how popular they may seem.
Less these days, I would say.
Less these days, perhaps in a couple of years' time. Elon Musk tweets something about his favorite dog, and that's it. Next thing you know, is going up, and it's billions and billions of dollars. But yes, absolutely not. In our case, we focus on three main verticals. So we do research. Obviously, as you can imagine, we publish in academic journals, but not just that. So, for instance, now currently we are working on putting together a report on mapping all blockchain activities in the country. So we partner up with BHAS, which is one of the leading corporate data provider in the UK, and we already have a database of about 1,000 blockchain initiatives, and we want to map those across the country, because the truth is that when people in London ask what is Manchester doing in terms of blockchain, who is based in Edinburgh, nobody has an answer for it. So those type of research, which is very much helpful, and we're going to have a fantastic, an interactive map on our own website where everybody, so creating a public good, everyone can go there and see what is going on where. All right? That is the research vertical. Then we have education, so we run a number of programs. I just mentioned the one in Birmingham. We also have undergraduate, postgraduate, MBAs, executive MBAs programs, as well as we organize workshops that are open to everyone that is interested in knowing more about blockchain and learning more about this technology. And finally, we do also some community building activities. This is certainly an example of community building activities, which is super important and crucial. And I believe the UK does it better than Italy, particularly Puglia. So something like this
might change.
Exactly. That's why events and initiatives like yours are more than welcome. And but community activities can also be hackathons, think about those type of events as well. Finally, beyond those core activities, and I know we do a lot of stuff. So beyond those core activities, we also engage with policymakers and regulators. So we were involved with the FCA. We were invited as subject experts by the financial regulators in the UK. Last year, who was he was organizing some events on how to best regulate crypto, and we gave our input, and also we engaged with Parliament. So I'm going to be in Parliament next week in Westminster. We work with the APPG for blockchain technologies. The APPG is basically like a group of parliamentarians. All right. So we're going to be there next week. We've been working with them for a long time. Hopefully, again, pushing them into the right direction, or at least sharing our expertise with them.
Thank you. Obviously, now let's move a little bit to the meat of the chat. It's actually quite funny that these days are actually the biggest days for everything related to blockchain and Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin multi-year high, US really open about this now compared to the previous previous president. So things are changing, but what I would like to know today is really about, what are the juicy part that you see beyond Bitcoin?
Absolutely. So I believe that in a world where meme coins can make the headlines and Bitcoin is everywhere, it's always important to remember. I just mentioned Jamie Dimon earlier. Another high-profile executive that changed his mind over time is BlackRock CEO, who once in 2016 or 17 called Bitcoin a global index for money laundering. And as you know, the BlackRock is one of the largest investors in Bitcoin today, right? So it's fun to see that people. Obviously, that is focusing on crypto and decentralized currencies such as Bitcoin. But as you pointed out, where is the meat for moving forward? Well, for sure is in the infrastructure. What do I mean by this? And I believe our Nico, the great presenter, the speaker, just earlier made a fantastic presentation. So as you probably know, blockchain enables the tracking. Basically enables you to make payments without asking permission to nobody. So it's in a decentralized fashion, and therefore you are the legitimate only owner of your digital wallet. Imagine once everything that we have seen so far connects to your wallet, right? So it's mind-boggling. It's now that you will need a way of transfer that value. A payment is just a value transfer, and yes, Bitcoin could be one medium of exchange, but really what we have seen so far is that stable coins have been proving incredibly important in the space. And in fact, Boston Consulting Group, don't take my word for it, Boston Consulting Group, in one of the less rosy estimates, because as an academic I'm always a bit skeptical, so I have to go for the one that is the smallest forecast. Boston Consulting Group estimates that it could become a $16 trillion market. So if you look at more broadly tokenization, now 16 trillion, it's a big number. It's where the meat is, as you pointed out. So that is tokenization, and amount of within tokenization, stablecoins is now number one. Those are where I believe that could be a big opportunity.
Okay, so I guess that tokenization is the new keyword for the near future. So I guess would be useful to know a little bit more about what you know and why tokenization is the key theme ahead.
Okay, so there are two ways. I can certainly tell you in a single sentence, which probably will only resonate with those of you who have more advanced knowledge of the topic. So I can tell you about access, liquidity and efficiency. Again, only those of you who have a better understanding of what we're talking about will actually understand what I mean. That's why I'm going to bring up an example, so it makes it easier for everyone. An example that is actually being implemented by a giant in the space, HSBC. So HSBC, most of you know, it's a bank. It's a very, very big UK/Asian bank, all right? So they had, HSBC is one of the largest owners of gold in the world. They have this pile of gold sitting in some vaults in London, and they really don't have much to do with this gold. I mean, what do you do with gold? It's not really helpful anyway, right? So they thought about, why don't we use tokenization in order to offer potential investors the possibility to expose themselves to gold, our gold in this case. Obviously, there are a number of fees associated with that particular tokenization process, which allow HSBC to make extra profit out of it. So they began tokenizing gold back in late 2023, and they started just a pilot project with offering just institutional clients the possibility to buy tokens that are backed by gold that is detained in those vaults in London. And then it was very much a success, and that's why they open up to retail clients, specifically only in Hong Kong, because they receive the green light from Hong Kong authorities. And so we move from institutional investors opening up to retail, which is where a lot of money can be made, and that was also a success. And basically they made that directly available to retail investors through their mobile banking app. So if you are a retail investor, you have an HSBC account, like here having an account with UniCredit or Intesa, you can go and clearly buy digitized gold, which you could have not buy before in a fractionalized manner, which means that your minimum to buy a token of gold is nothing. So effectively democratizing the access to gold. So this is the access part, making it much more liquid, because it used to be sitting in a vault in the center of London, and now is open and is creating an actual market for a very liquid asset. And finally, efficiency is incredibly cheap when you create a token, a digital token of a real world asset, to then manage the trading of it. Can you imagine to move like a tiny portion of gold from a massive pile in London to somewhere else? It's just not possible. And that the tokenization process enables that. Does that make sense? More or less? Good. Good.
Obviously, we're always chasing OK stick events. So tokenization has been alive for a while, but how can we get the OK stick moment in tokenization?
I believe that we will see that exactly over the next few years. Because if you think about it, what do you need in order to have that OK stick moment is can be summarized with three main things. Number one is the development of appropriate standards. Now, I know it's a little bit of a boring side, but it's very, very important. So think about, in this space, again, try to provide an example and not sound too academic and boring. Is one initiative in the space is called the Digital Token Identifier Standard. So for those of you who are quite familiar with the financial world, you probably heard the word ISIN, right? ISIN is an identifier which clearly identifies every single security, being a fund or a product, a bond, or whatever it is. So ISIN is like the barcode of a financial product, right? Exactly when you have a barcode in a supermarket when you buy a product. We didn't have barcodes or ISINs for tokenization. And in tokenization, some of you are a bit more Intuit will ask the right question. Okay, why don't we just use ISIN? We already have ISIN. Right? It works for normal financial assets. How are tokenized assets different? Well, tokenized assets are different because they may sit on different chains. They may sit on different registries or ledgers, and therefore that means that you may have the exact same asset but on different systems. And that is something that you don't really have with ISIN. Plus, there are so many other type of structured products that you can do with tokenization. It's not going to work. And that is a very good effort in the space, the digital token identifier. They already have, they are building on an ISO standard, so everything is fully compliant and whatnot. So that's great. So that is one. So that is the standards part. Then number two is regulation. Again, boring topic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the crypto bros in the room that were looking for an easy way to get rich with a meme with a poo or with an animal on it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We're going to have to stick to the very basic in order if you want to look at the meat. Right? For comparison, we mentioned tokenization being a 16 or 20 trillion dollar market. The entire crypto market at the all-time high was not even 3 trillion. So we're talking about something that will be 10 times at least the size of the crypto market for the time being. Then if Bitcoin will go to 1 million, Marco, you know if that's going to be the case?
I'm not going to be here. No, I'm kidding.
We're going to still be here trying to bring the Bitcoin here, inflow of Bitcoin in Puglia.
Well, I guess, it was a pretty good overview.
Yes, but just to finish up, so the regulation side, we probably have heard about MiCA, the regulation in the EU, particularly focusing on stablecoin, much less on the rest, will come. But also the UK is has one which is called UK Digital Security Sandbox, UK DSS, and it is where the government is trying to issue effectively digital bonds, which again is a new innovating way and is a way for the UK government to signal to the market that they are very much invested into the technology. Finally, we organized last year a beautiful conference in Dubai, not just because Dubai is beautiful, but our conference was pretty interesting, was on peer-to-peer financial systems, and we were hosted by VARA. So VARA is the virtual authority for digital assets in the Emirates, and they're doing great work. So all this is already happening. Can I just make the final point here? The final promise is security and interoperability. Now, I'm pretty sure here some of you will come up before, and I'm anticipating a question here now. Some of you will raise their hand and say, "Oh, about quantum computing. Well, quantum is going to," I know. Some of you, quantum computing is going to, take all the crypto and throw it away. Maybe. But let me tell you something. Building on the HSBC use case. So the HSBC pilot for tokenized gold, what they actually do, they also tested for the first time quantum secure technology on digital assets. So they were able for the first time to use quantum technology in order to trade digital asset safely, as in which would have been resistant to also quantum computing attack. And not just that, they were also being able to deploy that transaction, so making a transaction happen which is quantum safe across chain, meaning that even if you want to move your assets from a permissioned chain, which is basically a system just it's a closed system which is managed by the bank, to a public chain such as Bitcoin or such as Ethereum or whatnot, that bridge would be quantum safe. Now, obviously, if you jump on a chain which is not quantum safe, and Bitcoin and Ethereum they are not yet, then obviously is another problem. But yes, that's pretty much it. So standards, regulation, and security and interoperability. Sorry for the long answer, but I mean, I guess I try to do my best in order to keep the audience awake despite being almost what?
The reality is that most of the time things that are very profitable are boring. These things are important to understand in order to build any business, I would say.
And on purpose, I purposely, when I mentioned quantum computing, I didn't mention the actual names of the digital signature algorithms that are behind us, because otherwise, yes, I would probably have seen people just leaving the room. So I spare you from that.
Thanks. So you mentioned HSBC. Could you give us a little bit more, a broader view of what's going on from the financial industry perspective?
Totally. So, as I mentioned, there is so much going on in the traditional financial sector related to digital assets, which also include tokenization, which includes the stable coins, so on and so forth, that compared to the crypto market, I mean, it's just, the crypto market is a tiny island of all these tokenization, digital asset world. To give you an example, tier one banks, not just HSBC, but everybody, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, they are all experimented, not just experimented, but also deployed those type of technologies. So think about JP Morgan launched the Onyx network, which is now being recently rebranded Kinexus, where they basically have tokenized deposits. So think about, and those are, again, as I mentioned, they are no longer pilots. They are actually business lines. The HSBC Gold token. Think about, as I mentioned, I was giving a speech at Google the day in which they launched their Google Cloud Universal Ledger. So even Google, which is not in a traditional financial institution, is moving into that infrastructure layer that we just mentioned earlier by providing to financial institutions a super performant ledger that they can use in order to issue digital assets on. So there are literally countless examples like those that I mentioned, but every single big not just financial institution, but also tech. Think about Meta. Think this for a second. Why Facebook rebranded to Meta? Well, I'm sure you know that, but why? Multiple reasons, yes. For the purpose of this talk. Totally correct. So Mark Zuckerberg at some point was like so much into the Web3 and the decentralized currencies being the financial infrastructure, which will then enable all the fantastic applications that they are working on and the way in which you interact. At the end of the day, most big tech are big because they are paid for by clients, by customers. So Google with ads, Facebook, with ads as well. And if you have a way to embed into their products, it could be Oculus, could be anything, a wallet, which is not a digital wallet where you can literally click and value is exchanged instantly instead of having to put 16 digits and then do I receive the text? There is no signal here. I have to wait and I have to call my dad and whatnot. If you can speed up that process, is just one click, which is safe and whatnot. That is going to be fantastic. That's why when there was the Web3 and Metaverse discussion, they decided to rebrand and focus mostly on the Metaverse. So those different words, digital words, where digital currencies are very much a big part of.
Thanks. Just to wrap up, what do you think is going to be the themes that is going to keep you up at night in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, well, I mean, there are a few. The good thing about blockchain, and the reason why, looking back at that student in Hong Kong or that junior banker in banking, I don't regret anything I've done. I'm actually very happy and look forward is that you never get bored in the crypto, digital asset, and blockchain space. You bump into all sort of people, from the meme coin and crypto bros to HSBC and Google, and you can literally sit on with both and have a conversation with both. So in terms of the future, a lot of exciting things ahead. I'm very excited about the intersection between AI and blockchain because it's opening up incredible opportunities. Again, is where the most advanced technology meets finance, meets capital. And it could be only exciting about it. But as I mentioned earlier, being now, yes, being a more cautious and skeptical and boring academic hat on top, and now putting that, number one, we do need a robust infrastructure. And what I mentioned earlier speaks to that. Number one. Number two, we need trusted standards, because as obviously we all love the idea, the anarchist ethos of crypto. That's great. But when it comes to playing a pervasive role in our lives, we do want to have some sort of guardrails or fences around it. So we want to build that as well. So robust infrastructure, trusted standards and regulations around it, but also interoperability. So far, we have seen a competition between different chains or different systems to kind of prevail over the other. So are you for Ethereum or for Bitcoin? Are you for this or that? And even financial institutions, like the JP Morgan initiative, Deutsche Bank, and the HSBC. In the future, collaboration and interoperability will be the key word. And if you are able somehow to to create a bridge among those systems, you are hitting the jackpot. So for the students in the room, you want to make money, don't buy a token with an animal on it. Understand the technology, study that very well, and work on the infrastructure side and interoperability.
Fantastic. I think we covered many topics today, and I'm glad that after the first time we met in London, after probably 10 years, 8 years,
Indeed.
we're here still talking about the same topics.
And you still look younger than you were 10 years ago. It's unbelievable, this guy.
No, it's just my hairdresser. No, I'm kidding. But
which in Puglia addresses are great.
Better than London, I can say.
I can say. So another reason to move to Puglia.
Yes. Well, I guess thanks a lot, Francesco, for joining us today. It's been a great pleasure for all of us, and because we are extremely tight on time, I have to skip questions, if you don't mind.
I know.
The quantum question was the 100% question that was coming up. So I guess was the major question that they always ask you. But we have to move forward.
Plus I see some of my students. I'm very proud to see some of my students in the room, so they know where to find me.
They can chase you in another room.
Yes, right? More than happy to.
Okay, fantastic.
Reply any question.
Francesco, again, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
And so now we have the fast batch. With association enterprises, corporates who are pitching us a bit their SaaS solutions. So we have Marika from Key Tech talking about their SaaS solution. So let's move to the next slide. I'll leave it to you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me and KeyTech to this event tonight. We are an IT company, and we decided to study some of the common business issues to develop a product which could help companies and business to solve some of their problems. And in these times, time is a big problem. And we wanted to deliver a product which could save time in daily operation. And this is why we created K-Brain. As you can see, BRAIN stands for Bank Reconciliation and Artificial Intelligence, because this is a solution that implements AI. So we started from the as-is scenario of the bank reconciliation process that involves multiple and incoming transfers per month to the business. And the critical points are obviously monotonous and repetitive tasks for the employee that are time-consuming. So what we wanted to do was with K-Brain, was to create a solution to all of this, to making the process more efficient, to avoid mistakes, and to save precious operational time. And we did it. Let's see how K-Brain works. So K-Brain can automatically recognize every bank transfer to the company, and thanks to the AI, it can recognize every payment reference included in the transaction text. So thanks to the machine learning system, K-Brain can recognize the customer name from the payment reference and associate it to the code already existent in the ERP system that the company uses. So K-Brain then retrieves every open item connected to the customer's name, to the customer code, to effectively do the reconciliation process. And so it goes by taking every payment reference, every already existent payment still pending, and every other information that is useful for the system to associate every payment reference, every incoming, with the income document already existent in the ERP system. So all of this is possible thanks to the technology behind it, because there's the artificial intelligence that automatically identifies and extracts significant information, but also the machine learning, because K-Brain keeps on learning and improving constantly thanks to the transfers history already present in the ERP system. And obviously, last but not the least, the ERP integration, because K-Brain directly interacts with the ERP manager system, primarily SAP, but every ERP system, to reconcile every information and every customer invoices. So K-Brain allows your company to save time, to keep every customer ledgers updated in real time. But let's take a look at the numbers. The bank reconciliation takes about 3 minutes time for a single invoice, but AI, the K-Brain, can do it in 30 seconds, saving 83% of the time. So let's imagine to have an average number of 100 transfers in a month. An operation that would take 5 hours of work for the employee can be done by K-Brain in 50 minutes, leaving them free to handle more productive tasks for your company. So this is what K-Brain does. It's a key solution for your business. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I'm sorry for the stage, but we're a little bit tight on time, so we don't have time for the questions. But if someone wants to know more, Marika is here after the talk. So we go now for the Silvano somewhere. So now is the association side. Silvano is a well-known figure in the community in Bari, but is trying to branch out and is trying to build something different far away from us, but we are welcoming him anyway. So please, the stage is yours, and let's talk about a little bit more about the new gig.
Thanks. So yeah, it's called Matera Tech, and it's called Matera Tech because I live in Matera and the community is based in Matera. So I moved in Matera in 1.5 years ago, pretty much, and I found a city with lots of companies working in tech, lots of developers too. I mean, people that decided to move there and work from there, even working for remotely, like I do. And so I decided to create this community because I felt the need for a community there. And in here you can find, Matera Tech is obviously our website. If you go to the QR code, you can see all the links to our socials. And next slide, please. We gonna have our first event on the 25th of June. It's gonna be at Palestra di Area 8. It's in the center of Matera. So if you want to come, you're really welcome. You're gonna find lots of more information about the event on the link here. You can follow the QR code. There's going to be 3 talks, one about AI, one about MLOps, and one about authorization in networking. So that's going to be really technical talks, but I plan to welcome everyone in the community. People that work in tech, designers, CTOs, CEOs, product managers, everyone. So this is it, and I hope to meet you all at the next event. Thanks.
Maybe just a question. Someone from the stage was wondering if you're going to be a speaker again.
Who knows?
Anyway, well, first, thanks really everybody for being here today. Thanks Loom to make it happen. Thanks really all the PugliaTechs crew that manage the pre-event, event, post-event very soon. And well, as we said many times, we do monthly events. We're always here. Next time is going to be in Bari, and it's going to be probably the 24th or 26th of June. So again, just the last call to action, as usual, is to fill the member onboarding and the QR code somewhere quite soon. This one, if you haven't done it before, please do. The idea is to really build something that is actually valuable for you, building lots of AI behind the scene. And also, we have this Telegram group, so we talk about technology, business, startups, local news, global news, people from all over the places. We have people from Sydney, from Silicon Valley. Actually, we have one community builders, which is based in Silicon Valley, who is here today, Oliviero. Thanks for coming directly for the event. So thanks a lot. Yeah, so that's the story. And we keep building, we keep pushing. So anyone that wants to bring other people that love tech, I think this is probably a good community, and it's a federated community. So Silvano today was here talking about this new community. We want to help him make it happen in Matera. So that's kind of the part of the mission. Thanks a lot. Thanks for everything.